Imagine watching a show, right? The contestants are on the other side of the globe. They live completely different lives than you. They speak a completely different language from you. You're here thinking you're about to watch this show to just have a good time. And then you realize it's basically a mirror to your life. This is what watching Better Late Than Single was for me. I did not think I was going to relate to so many people. So let's jump into the review.
What jolts you awake? What keeps you up? Stay in touch with me if you can.
Hello and welcome to Life Lessons and Confessions, the channel where we figure out our power by figuring out ourselves. So my name is Paola. Please make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, as well as the bell notification. We're gonna jump into my review of the show Better Late Than Single on Netflix. It is a Korean reality TV dating show. I've never watched a Korean reality TV dating show before, so this was the first experience for me. And I felt like going into this one instead of Singles Inferno because it seems like that one is just for influencers to hike up their follow count. And this seemed pretty wholesome. The premise of the show is simple. They have multiple contestants who apply to be on the show. They have never been in a real relationship before. They may have been in a situationship or the Korean version of that. I don't know what that is. Some of them have never dated or never been in a relationship just simply because they've been busy. They haven't made time for it. I fall in this camp. Other people, it's a clear lack of confidence, lack of communication, and things like that. So it does vary. So we're going to have a variety of contestants, which I'm pretty happy about. They called the singles here eternal singles. I feel like that's a little harsh, but I guess I'm an eternal single. Hey, that is what the show is about. The show puts them with these coaches, or they call them cupids. First impression of the cupids, I don't think they should be there. I don't see the purpose they serve. Honestly, I was kind of disappointed. I thought they were more so going to be like mentors who mentor them throughout the process of the show. But they're basically just sitting on the sideline doing commentary. Basically doing what I'm doing. They just sit on the sideline, review the footage, and just comment on it. And it's just like, if you're going to have coaches and mentors there, they need to be more hands-on. But I guess you can see the cupids were hands-on in the beginning. These cupid recommendations can vary from speak up more, speak less, change your hairstyle, change your clothes. And of course, there's always the lose weight recommendation, all right? And I do live in the US, okay? People here are a bit on the heavier side compared to Korean standards. But, I mean, I wasn't shocked by that, but I was just like, I don't think weight is that much of an issue for these specific contestants. So we're going to jump into who these contestants are. And I would just like to preface, I am not that familiar with Korean names. I will try my best to pronounce them as best as I can, but I will assign a nickname to every single one of them because some of the names are a little bit more difficult to pronounce. And it's just because I'm not familiar with it. And I'm sure as I get more familiar, I'll be able to pronounce them. But for now, I'll introduce who they are. I will try to say their Korean name because God knows I hate it when people butcher my name. I would try to say their name, but after that, we're going to go by nicknames. Starting with the first contestant, his name is Jae Jung. I'm just going to call him Jay, okay? He's 27. He's a VFX designer, so like a 3D modeling designer. He has really low confidence. He cannot even make eye contact with people. That is very difficult for him. He speaks in a very low voice. Like the producers even had to ask him during his interview to speak up because they could barely hear him. And this was the saddest part I heard about him when they were doing his interview. He described himself as Shinji from Evangelion. I'm just like, wow. If you don't know who this character is, I do watch anime in my spare time. So I do know who this character is. And I'm just like, it is a very sad and depressed character. And as the series goes, the boy gets even sadder. So I'm just like, that's who you resonate with? I don't think I've ever heard anyone resonate with him. But I also did not like something in the show where they asked a female co-worker, hey, what do you think that he watches anime? And she was just like, well, she didn't say it was weird, but she was just like, I can't communicate with him. And it made it seem like, oh, women don't like people who watch anime. It's like, I guess I must now be a woman since I watch anime. I guess so. Wow. Okay, so we're still holding those values. So in the beginning, I was like, I'm trying to see what we're working with here. I guess if I had to describe myself as an anime character, who would I be? I'll probably be Kaguya. I'll probably be Kaguya from Kaguya-sama Love is War. And if you watch that show, please let me know in the comment section below. Yes, I am that crazy. Anyways, so we're going to move on to the next contestant. Her name is Kanji Su. She is 26-year-old ballerina, and she described herself as a homebody. I think she said in her interview she has stayed home for a month straight, and that's when she realized, oh, if I don't put myself out there, I guess I'll never have a boyfriend. And I just laugh. As a fellow homebody, I can totally relate. I don't think I stayed in the house for a month straight because I had to go buy groceries. But honestly, if I had someone buy groceries for me, or if I had Instacart at the time, I probably would not have left. So I immediately resonated with her. Yup. I can see why you're an eternal single. Now I can see why I'm an eternal single. I don't put myself out there. Another tidbit about her is she's not really comfortable around men because she went to an all-girls middle school. Her high school only had 5 boys, and she went to an all-women's university. She doesn't have experience talking with the opposite gender. It feels awkward to her, and it's not her norm. I actually wanted to be one of those people who could go to an all-women's university, but now I'm happy I didn't. Because I think it's very important to be able to communicate with different people, the other gender or other cultures. It should be, like, communication is very important. And this is also why I tend to recommend to usually teenagers or people in college. If you are not comfortable with the opposite gender or you don't know how to talk to them, co-ed after school activities. That's it. That is all I have to tell you. Co-ed after school activities. Okay. I personally have a lot of guy friends. For some reason, most of them are hoes. But hey, it's a thing. But if it is difficult for you to just talk to girls or talk to guys, vice versa, join a co-ed after school activity. You need to have the skills to just talk to the opposite person, especially if you plan to have a partner that is of the opposite gender. If you don't, then don't bother with it. Even if you're LGBTQ and you don't plan, just talking to other people and getting their perspective is a great experience. Kanji Su, I'm just going to call her Su, okay? Her nickname going forward would be Su instead of Kanji Su. The next contestant is Isongi. I'm going to call his nickname is just going to be Song. I don't want to be butchering these people's name. He's a 27-year-old international global marketer. His family immigrated to Brazil when he was around 8 years old. So he went to middle school, high school there, and he came back about 12 years ago. Unfortunately, I guess since he was in a different country where they speak a completely different language. They speak Portuguese over there, by the way. He wasn't able to talk to other people, and he was severely bullied for that due to miscommunication. I just felt bad. And he speaks 4 different languages. He speaks Portuguese from living in Brazil, Spanish, English, and of course, Korean. This is a Korean dating show. I just thought that was so cool and so interesting. I always like it when people speak multiple languages. I think it's cool. Me personally, I speak 3, but 4 is impressive. The next contestant is Yum Yum, and I'm going to call her Mew Mew. I'm going to call her Mew Mew because I definitely cannot pronounce her name over and over again. She's a 26-year-old finance student. She's on the show to find a boyfriend because all of her friends have boyfriends now. So she's one of those participants that she didn't feel the need to pull herself out there in a relationship because she has such a tight, close-knit friends. They've been doing everything together. But as time has gone on, every single one of her friends has slowly gotten a boyfriend, and she's the only one that's left out. So now she has no one to hang out with. So she's thinking it might be good to have a boyfriend. This is what I meant by we have a variety of people on the show, and I really like that. The next contestant is Kim Sang-ho, and his name is fairly easy, so I'm just going to call him Sang-ho. He is a 27-year-old engineer, and I believe he's also been in like an all-boys school type of thing, kind of like Jisoo. And he has gone to the military. He's an engineer in the military. I believe that's what it is. He does engineering in the military, which is pretty impressive. I was just like, wow. He's one of those people, the only one in his friend group that just has not really dated. And he is a bit on the heavier. Listen, I'm using heavy very lightly because he just looks average. If he was in the US, I'd be like, that's an average guy. But I guess compared to everyone, he's a little bit on the quote unquote heavier side. So his recommendation is lose weight. And I was just like, okay, I guess. The next contestant is Lee Min-ho, and I'm just gonna call her Bambi, and I'm gonna tell you why I call her Bambi. She's a 28-year-old fashion marketer designer, so she's in the fashion business. And during her interview, she said she has gone on 20 to 30 dates. She has always gotten a second date, but it just hasn't worked out. Something just has not worked out. And during the interview, it does seem like she's very picky, even about small things like how someone holds their chopsticks. It's like she's very picky about a lot of stuff. So it does seem like she has been single because of her pickiness, but I actually think it's because of something else. And the nickname I chose to give her Bambi is because every single time she comes on screen, she either looks like she just finished crying or she's on the verge of crying. She's a very direct person, but it's just her face itself just looks very damsel-y. So at initial glance, I was like, okay, a lot of people are gonna like her because it seems like in the East, they like, I guess, people who appear submissive. There's that whole stereotype about Asian women are so submissive. Now, I'm not saying the stereotype is right or wrong. Regardless of how you feel about the stereotype, it is a stereotype that exists for a reason. And I think it is because they just tend to prefer cuter, softer, more docile faces or people over there. So initially, I was like, she's going to be the breakout star. But as the show goes on, something comes up. So the next contestant is Yido. She's a 27-year-old student who is also a geography tutor. She attends Seoul University, which is a sky school, and she tutors high school students on the, I think it's the SAT, the Korean version of the SAT. So she's really smart. And I did want to point out where she went to university because I think it is important in Korean society to highlight stuff like where you work, which university you attended. Because I have heard people who attend sky schools are basically the top of the top, the creme de la creme, the most intelligent people in the nations, and they are revered based on which school they attended. And the sky schools are Seoul University, Korea University, and Yonsei University. Apparently, I'm not from there. I'm not Korean. Obviously, you can see me, and I've never lived there. But what I've heard is those universities are like green flags for dating markets. Like, oh, you attended this school, that means you're really smart. The next contestant is Hanjomo. Okay, I definitely butchered his name. I'm just going to nickname him Mok. He's a 26-year-old biomechanical engineering student. And he came on this show because his twin is his best friend. So they always hung together, did stuff together. And now his twin brother got a girlfriend and he has no one else to hang with. So you just have not put yourself out there until, I guess, the opportunity presented itself. It was like, okay, I have no one to hang with. Maybe I should get a girlfriend. The next contestant is Park Ji-young. She's a 26-year-old music producer. I thought this was so cool. As someone who is trying to learn music producing, I'm learning by myself though. It's a little bit hard, but I thought it was so cool. And she, like Jisoo, has attended an all-girls middle school, all-girls high school, all-girl university. So she's not really comfortable just talking to the opposite gender. She doesn't know how to navigate that. And on top of that, she didn't have a constant father figure in her life. So she feels like maybe if she had one, it would have been easier. I don't think so, girl. But she feels like maybe if she had one, it would have been easier to navigate the dating scene and really know how to date. And the last contestant we get is Kang Hong Kyu. Butchering his name. I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to call him Q. He's a 26-year-old med student and he is a bartender on the side. I remember when I used to bartend. Anyways, he's a bartender on the side. And the reason why he's on the show is because he has been studying hard in middle school and high school just to get into medical school. And now that he's gotten into medical school, it has been even more studying. So now he feels like as he's on, I believe he's on his last year. As he's on his last year, maybe this is the time for him to open the door to dating. So for him, he just had not prioritized dating until now, which is why he's still single. Those are all the contestants. So they each meet in this beautiful, oh my gosh, this place was so gorgeous. I'm just going to insert it here, okay? This beautiful play on Jeju Island. It is so beautiful. They all meet in a room. At first, it was very awkward. All right. I believe most of these people are introverts. Even though the premise of the show will probably attract extroverted, I believe most of the cast, I can genuinely say they are more on the introverted side. So they all meet. It's very awkward. At first, they don't introduce themselves. Then they do. After everyone has finished their introduction, they are told to pick their first impression pick. And the first impression pick is basically the person who caught your eye initially. So this is all looks based. They have not really had any conversation. Not that they couldn't, but they're just introverted folks. So they were just like, hi, my name is so-and-so, I'm so-and-so, and that is it. So it's just bare bones, looks based. Who is your first impression pick? This is where stuff get messy. Bringing out my board. So Jay picks Sue as his first impression pick. Sue picks Sang-ho as her first impression pick. Song picks Sue as his first impression pick. Sang-ho picks Miu Miu as his first impression pick. Miu Miu picks Jay as her first impression pick. Bambi picks Jay as her first impression pick. Do picks Mark as her first impression pick. Mark picks Do as his first impression pick. We finally have a match. The only match we're gonna have. G picks Jay as her first impression pick. And Q picks Sue as his first impression pick. And I'm just like, oh, this is going to get messy. So the people who had the top vote is Jay on the girl side. I guess he's had such a good impression. And Sue on the boy side. She's had such a good impression. I'm not going to lie. When these two people were first introduced, I was like, I feel like they may kind of be on the spectrum. I don't want to be rude, okay? Jay can barely even make eye contact with anyone. His head is always down. And Sue, although she is able to communicate, although she's more straightforward, for me, it's just like she kind of have a blank face most of the time. Initially, based on my untrained eyes, I will say that I was like, maybe these two are kind of on the spectrum or teetering on the spectrum, but everyone else has the best impression of them. I don't know. So because they both had such high votes, they have an opportunity to go into a library for 5 minutes and read the diary of anyone that has caught their eye. I thought this was so cool and so innovative because these are people who have never dated. I like the diary thing. I really do because it shares what people like, their interests, what they want in a partner. You can kind of use that knowledge to be like, hey, I'm interested in you without being too forward about it. So I actually really did like the diary thing. Sue goes into the library. She picks Sang-ho for her first impression pick. So she opens up his diary. She reads his diary. She finds out he likes the color blue and he likes mango juice. Her brain just starts working overtime. She's like, what am I going to do to catch his attention? I should wear something blue, and when the opportunity presents itself, let me pick mango juice. So that's what Sue does. Jay goes into the library, and I think he picks Sue for his first impression pick, but I don't think he opened her diary. He opened somebody else's diary. I forgot. And then after that, everybody else goes to their room, and they are paired with roommates. So each person has their roommate. I'm not going to go into detail about who the roommates are. All right. It's the next day, day 2, so it's time for breakfast. Do and G are roommates, so they get up early and they go to the kitchen first. Once they arrive there, they see 2 trays with drink. One tray says women, the other tray says men. And on each tray, there are 4 coffee cups, 1 teacup, and 1 yellow juice cup. It could be orange juice, it could be mango juice, it could be whichever juice. So they realize they are going to be paired up with the people who have the same drink as them because the girl side has the same amount of drink as the guy side. So once they realize that, Do is very smart again. Listen, she went to Sky School, all right. Her wheels are just turning and she is ready to play chess. She decides to pick one drink so she could be on a one-on-one date with someone, just anyone. So she makes sure she picks the teacup and announces to everyone else, I got tea. I'm taking tea. This is tea. I like tea. Yum, yum tea. And I was just laughing. I like those strategy. She's trying to find out the person who had an initial good impression of her. That's why she was strategizing and picking a cup. And Sue, at the same time, she had time in the library, the 5-minute library, and found out the person she liked mango juice. So her also though, she decides to pick the orange mango looking juice. She doesn't know which type of juice it is, but she's just holding it up like, hey, I have juice. I just thought it was so cute and so adorable. It's basically the same as how we are told here in the West. Back in the day, ladies used to drop their handkerchief in front of an eligible bachelor just so that he could pick it up for them and they can have a conversation. So that's what happened on the girl's side. They're over there playing chess. On the guy's side, it is dry. These guys are giving nothing. Remember how I said don't pick the tea so that whoever had an initial good first impression of her could pick it? The guy who picked dough, Mark who picked dough because he had a good impression of her, did not pick tea. And I'm like, she gave you the chance right there. Why are you not picking tea? I guess he was trying to be polite. And he was just like,
well, whoever came here first should pick first.
So Q picked tea because he's just like, I just want to drink tea. I'm not even thinking of anything. Like, the guys are playing hopscotch while the girls are playing chess. What is happening here? Sango picked juice just cause. He was like,
I guess I'm gonna go with juice. I don't feel like drinking coffee.
Someone else already picked tea. And now the rest of the guys just pick coffee. And I'm just like, the girls gave y'all an out. They figuratively dropped their handkerchief in front of you and you just missed the mark. What the heck is happening? After that debacle, it is finally announced, go on the date with the person who has the same drink as you. So Doe is excited. She's like, okay, I picked tea, Q picked tea, so maybe Q had an initial good impression of me and he chose me for his first impression pick. So they get in the car, they're driving to the tea place. Doe is talking to him. She's trying to get where his head is at. She asks him straight out,
Hey, did you pick me for your first impression pic?
he says no. I just feel bad for her because it's like, you went through all that strategizing for nothing. I felt so bad. Oh, and the date was pretty bland because Q picked Sue for his first impression. Yet when she picked the orange juice, he didn't pick the orange juice. I guess he just was not thinking about it. The dates were bad because the contestants themselves, especially on the guy's side, they're playing a different type of game. This is a dating show. Try to match with the person you want initially. But the dates itself, I always think activity dates are the best dates ever. Dates where you can do pottery, you learn something new, you arrange your stuff. Those are always the best dates. They go on their dates where they find out how to make good green tea. They're taught the history of green tea, all those stuff. But Doe didn't enjoy herself because she found out Q was not interested in her, which it's understandable. Now the second date is between Sue and Sango. Remember, Sue's the one who was in the library. She read that Sango likes mango juice and he likes the color blue. So she makes sure she wears a blue shirt and she shows up to the date. Sango's also wearing a blue shirt. So they're kind of like matching. And I thought it was so cute. They get in the car. Sango drives. She's like,
Hey, I picked a drink because I read somewhere that you like mango juice.
and Sango just like, huh? And she's like, yeah, I also wore this blue shirt because I know you like the color blue. And this man is just not responding to her at all. He's basically saying, can you please be quiet so I can focus on driving? In his interview, he says he's not a very good driver and he just wanted to focus on the driving and not be distracted. I'm just like, can you not talk and drive? Is it a cultural thing or is it just me? I just found that scene very odd. And it's clear Sango does not like Sue, but common courtesy. Despite that, Sue does tell him, you are my type, I prefer the teddy bear type, and I chose you for my first impression. Dead. Silence. This man is just, driving. It was bad. And just like the green tea date, they went to a tangerine orchard where they picked tangerine. they were able to puree it and just have a fun activity day. I just felt bad for Sue the whole time. It's like you were over here trying to let this guy know, hey, I'm interested in you. I think you're cool. I really like you. And it's just dead fish and silent. That's the second date. It was just as terrible as the first date. Now on to the third date. They go to a rollerblading ring. It was so cool. I cannot remember the last time I went roller skating. I thought this date had potential because they were in a group. You're in a group of 6. 3 girls, 3 guys. It was just as worse as all the other dates. The girls are skating by themselves. The guys are just skating around, not interacting with the girls at all. You were on a date. Are you not even going to talk to anyone? And I kind of understood they didn't talk because maybe it's nerves. Some of the people in this group have not dated because of their confidence. Like I said, other people it's just because I haven't had time. But it was still like, even if you're not interested in someone, should you not talk to them? Or is that an American thing? I don't know. I feel like if you're going to go to a roller skating place, even if you're in a group where the person you're really interested in is not in there, are you not going to make an effort to talk to the people there? I just found the whole thing to be awkward. It was just no conversation at all whatsoever. Not even talking to like their roommate to find out, hey, what does your roommate think? Like nothing. Just dead fish energy. After all those really terrible days, they came back to the place where they were staying and they had like a campfire night thing. And during the campfire night, we get introduced to the game changer. The game changer's name is Isun Chang. He is 31 years old and he is a surgeon. He went to Korea University, which is a sky school. Remember what I told you all about sky schools? This is also where the men share their age and their career. And from what I have heard, my untrained eyes, okay, I'm not Korean, don't live there, never been there, don't know nothing about that place, is career and where you've gone to university is pretty important in the dating market. So when they found out that Q is a medical school student and Lee is a surgeon, all the other guys are basically freaking out like,
Oh my gosh, they're gonna blow the competition. We have a med school student here and a surgeon. I have no chance. They're gonna get all the girls.
and I am just here as a third party saying, be for real. You're an engineer and you are sweating bullets over a med student. Granted, medical school is hard, it's difficult, and I can only imagine how competitive it is in a country like Korea that is super competitive. I get it. But being an engineer is not an easy walk in the park. Are you for real? Like, you have people who have really good career, VFX designer, engineer, sweating over the fact that you have a surgeon and a med school student. They feel like they are in a lower rank than that. I did not understand that. However, I did educate myself, and apparently careers like lawyer, doctor are seen in a really positive light, even over CEO and businessman. I didn't know that. I guess that's why they're sweating bullets, since that society seems to be hierarchical, rank-based. But yeah, everyone is sweating bullets. So now the game changer, Lee, he gets to talk to 2 girls that he's potentially interested in. One of the girls he picks is Mew Mew, and the other one is Do. And the reason why he picked both of these girls is because they're always smiling, they're cheerful, they're always happy, la da 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 da. And while he's talking to those girls, the other girls get to sit around several areas in the arena. They have set up like a tent area, a caravan area, and a suite area where the ladies can just sit there and wait until, I guess, the guys show up. So this is a night where the girls just sit in their area and then the guys will pick a letter, like a random letter, look at the location on the letter, and then go to that place. And these people kept following the rules. I'm like, why you keep following the rules? Now I understand why y'all are single. Everyone is following the rules. I'm like, if you're interested in someone and she picks an envelope and goes to a certain location, even if your envelope has a different location, switch with your friends. This is where I understood the reason why most of these people are single It's purely based on communication. They cannot communicate. And forget communicating with the other gender. They cannot communicate with the people who are the same gender as them, especially on the men's side. I did not understand this. I don't think the rules said you have to go to the location on the envelope you pick. You just have to go to the location on the envelope you have. That's two different things. Maybe it's because I'm sneaky. But if I were in the game, I would just be like, okay, the person I'm interested in is sitting at the caravan. And let's say my envelope says tent. I'm switching with someone who has caravan envelope. But they're not talking at all. They're just blindly following the rules. La da 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 da. It was painful to watch, okay? It was sweet, but it was very painful to watch. The first couple we meet, I guess, is Sango and Sue. They actually had a date that day. And basically, Sango was talking about his insecurity, about how he's insecure. There's a med student and a surgeon to Sue. And Sue is just there listening. Okay. In her interview, she says she doesn't understand why he's talking about other people during their dates. Girl, I'm with you. I don't understand. After that train wreck, Q got the location where Sue was at. And Q is the one who actually picked Sue for his initial first impression pick. So he goes there, he talks to Sue, and he tells her like a man, I'm interested in you. I think you're cool. I think you're amazing. And Sue basically reciprocates his feelings. She said, yeah, I thought you were interesting too. And I was always thinking it was either going to be you or Sango. And, Q is happy about that. It's like the person I like is also interested in me. Wonderful. I'm like, finally, some movement somewhere. I needed this. But afterwards, the camera pans to Bambi. Bambi is sitting by the suite and boat. Jay and Mark come to her. So she has two guys and she's like, what the heck is up? And they're basically saying, well, since the surgeon came in, there's an unequal amount of girls and guys. Now you're stuck with two. She was happy about that. So she asked the guys, what impression did you have of me at the beginning? Jay basically tells her you were bossy. And then Mark is like, oh my gosh, you can't say that. He says, no, he doesn't mean it like that. He was saying, you seem like you know what you want. And she was happy with that response. In the beginning, Bambi picked Jay as a first impression because she thought he was handsome. But after that bossy comment, she was like, I'm jumping on to Mook, okay? I don't have time for you. You are rude. And I'm going to jump onto Mook. And I was just like, girl. And she's all like,
well, Mook likes me. I like him. So now I'm just going to go there.
I'm like, that was kind of fast, Bambi. That was kind of fast. And I'm not going to lie. Doing this show, I was a bit surprised by how Bambi was received because from an outside looking in, okay, I'm clearly not Korean. I've never even visited there at all. But from an outsider looking in, Bambi looks like she is the standard of beauty in that region. The big eyes, the pale skin, the petite physique. They seem to like that over there. And she seemed like she is the standard of beauty. Now, I'm not saying all the other girls are not attractive. They are. Don't get me wrong. But I just feel like Bambi would have had an easier time because she looks like the standard of beauty. I was completely wrong. Most of the time doing these games, Bambi is the last option. And I did not understand why until Jay was being borderline a little bit too honest with her by saying she's bossy. And I actually think what is happening to Bambi in this series is a good lesson for a lot of girls who are actually the standard of beauty. You meet those impossible criteria, yet for some reason, you don't have luck when it comes to the romantic life. And I think Bambi's problem is because she's brutally honest when she needs to be honest. And frankly, I've been in the same camp, so I feel like I can talk about this a little bit. And the thing about this is, honesty is great. And as a person who likes to give honesty, I also prefer to receive honesty. However, if you don't have a bond with a person, for example, if you don't know someone, if they're a stranger, they're an acquaintance, they're not a friend, your honesty can come off as brutal honesty. And this is when people are turned off by you. This is when you end up being the pretty girl in the room who no one wants to talk to because you're not fun to be around. I'm sorry, you're kind of a buzzkill. And although we live in a society where everyone wants to be like, looks are the most important thing, looks matter. What I have personally seen in the dating scene is looks will get you in the door, don't get me wrong. Your looks and the way you style yourself is definitely going to get you in the door. However, your personality and your character is going to enable you to stay in the door. And I think Bambi's problem is actually a very common problem that a lot of pretty girls have. They think they can just walk through life on their looks when your looks might be your ticket to entry, but your character and who you are as a person is the reason why you're going to stay in there. Coming back to the honesty and brutal honesty I was referring to Bambi, just imagine this, right? You have a friend and your friend does something really stupid, like really dumb. And you're like, girl, that thing was so dumb. Your friend, because she knows you care about her, she knows you're going to have her back, she's not going to see you calling that thing dumb as an insult. If anything, she's probably going to agree with you. Like, yeah, that was kind of dumb. That was really stupid. I can't believe I did that. But if you say the same thing to a stranger who actually did something really dumb, it's going to come off as rude, it's going to come off as disrespectful, and it's going to come off as you being brutally honest. Because you don't have an established bond with the stranger that you have with your friend, your intentions are going to be misconstrued. The way you communicate is going to miss the mark, basically. Whereas you as a person, you're like, well, I told you it was done because I want the best for you. A stranger is not going to see it like that. They're going to see it as you insulting them. Granted, there are some strangers who are going to see it as you just speaking your mind. Some other strangers are going to see that as you insulting them. And I think that's why a lot of people did not pick Bambi as her first impression pick, because she did say she was blunt, but I don't think it's the bluntness. I think she's just brutally honest. And it's very difficult being brutally honest with someone you do not have an established relationship with. It's always going to come off as rude. It's always going to come off as disrespectful. And as a person who have been brutally honest with strangers, I have been told that, and I found out the reason is I don't have a strong and solid bond with this person. They don't know me yet. They don't know the way I communicate. They don't know my humor. They don't know me. So whereas with my friends, they would just laugh it off and know exactly what I mean. But a stranger, it's just not going to hit the same way. And I think that's why Bambi was actually struggling. I think that's why she went on 30 plus dates and is still single, because objectively looking, she's a beautiful girl. She's very cute, but it's just not working. And I think that's the brutal honesty thing. Please let me know what you thought of this review of Better Late Than Single in the comment section below. And do you agree with my analysis of Bambi? Because I really think that's the reason why she's so unlucky. And as the show goes on, unfortunately, it doesn't get any better. Please let me know what you thought of this, and I'll see you next week. Bye.